Shalom Aleichem. Yesterday we spoke a bit about Jewish unity and the roots of our national interdependency. But there's more to being a nation than just being connected. There's more to being a nation than just being unified. We have a goal, a mission that we're meant to accomplish, that unity is supposed to help facilitate. If we work together, we can achieve that goal, but it's only a means to an end. I think today that we should take a look at what exactly that goal is and how we go about achieving it. The idea of a national mission is one that's recurring in the Torah. Perhaps the first mention is by Avram Avinu in the context of Kadosh Baruch Hu telling Avraham what he plans to do to Sodom. There he says, I can't hide something from Avram Avinu since I have this great vision for his descendants. He says that the descendants of Avraham, Vishamru derech Hashem lasot tzedakah u'mishpat, they'll be responsible for guarding the way of God, doing justice and charity. Later on in Sefer Shemot, we see a more familiar expression to us that we're meant to be a mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh, a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. In Sefer Dvarim, we see a national mission in the context of how the nations of the world will see us. V'ra'u kol amei haaretz ki shem Hashem nikra alecha. The nations of the world will see that the name of God is upon you. And similarly, in Yeshayahu, we are tasked with being an Or Goyim, a light of nations. Now, each unique formulation is worth going into and exploring, but I want to focus just for now on what the formulations have in common. It seems in one way or another, we are responsible for representing God in this world. Both representing God for ourselves, as well as representing God to and for the people around us. It's how to accomplish that representation that is debated by our greatest Jewish thinkers throughout the generation. Rav Hirsch famously says that the way to accomplish being an Or Goyim is essentially to be amongst the nations, bringing authentic, proper, godly values into every society in the world. We need to be there and be representatives of God's values, role models of what it means to have a tselem Elokim, and to follow appropriate moral guidelines. We represent those values, and we should represent them in person wherever possible, enriching every society that we're part of. Now, interestingly, Rav Hirsch sees the mission, the objective of Am Yisrael as coming to its fullest expression, perhaps not in Israel, but amongst the nations of the world. Even the Netziv spoke about this idea, not perhaps as the pinnacle of our national mission, but as an explanation for why we've spent so much time outside of Israel. It can't simply be a punishment, says the Netziv. There must be something we're meant to accomplish while we're here. And he says, yes, that is representing God to the nations from amongst the nations. The Netziv's famous student, Rav Kook, however, took a very different position. Rav Kook felt that our national mission is accomplished specifically in Eretz Yisrael. His formulation is as follows. Essentially, there are always ways that an individual can represent God through their individual, personal actions and interactions with the people around them. You can daven as an expression of your values. You can do chesed as an expression of your values. You can learn as an expression of your values. Everything that you do in your life, you can do better and in a more meaningful, in a holier fashion, as a way to express God. However, there are things that the individual is limited in which case, there are things that you cannot express HaKadosh Baruch Hu's values in as an individual. For example, says Rav Kook, there's a way to act appropriately as an individual in God's vision. There's also a way to have an appropriate, proper, moral government in God's vision. You can't do that as an individual. You cannot express to the world what a government looks like in the image of God in accordance with the Torah as one person. For that, you need a nation. Similarly, you can't have a justice system, a Beit Mishpat, as an individual. If you want to represent what justice is, what Mishpat is, you can't do that as an individual. You need a system of people. If you want to represent how a proper economy works, how to strike that unique balance between giving charity but taking care of yourself and your family, right? You can't do that as an individual. You can't generate a godly Torah economy as one person. You need a collective. An army, it needs a collective. So many things, which are some of the most complex things we're trying to navigate, are ideas that only can be expressed by a society. Explains Rav Kook, we have two tasks. A task as an individual to represent God in our behaviors, and a task as a nation, as a collective, to represent God as a society. Represent God in what a proper society looks like, what a proper economy looks like, what a proper government looks like, what a proper justice system looks like, what a proper army looks like, which we're displaying now for the entire world to see. All of these things are expressions of a Kadosh Baruch Hu in this world that an individual cannot accomplish. Only a group can accomplish. And only a group can accomplish very often if that group is in the same place and has the autonomy and self-determination to be able to make the decisions to run their society in accordance with Torah values. The Ramban, in the context of the brachot and the klalot, has his own expression, his own formulation for what the goal of our nation is. By the brachot and the klalot, HaKadosh Baruch Hu explains how if you do my mitzvahs, the following will happen. If you don't, the opposite will happen. Now, if we do the mitzvah, what's promised to us is health, prosperity, peace, tranquility, everything wonderful. Basically, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is describing this perfect utopian society. We will get rain when we're supposed to get rain, right? Our crops will grow like they're supposed to grow. We'll all be healthy. We'll all be doing well. We'll all be happy. Explains the Ramban. You want to know how to represent God to the world? You want to know how to display for the world to see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with us? If you follow the mitzvot, and then you get all the promises of the brachot, and you have one nation where everyone in the nation is healthy, and you have one nation where everyone in the nation is doing well, where everyone in the nation is prosperous, where everyone in the nation is successful, where everyone in the nation has tranquility, where everyone in the nation has peace, where everyone in the nation is stable. If you have one nation where every single member can say these things, and every single person in the nation is serving God, it's going to be so abundantly clear the source of our national prosperity. It says, if we keep the mitzvot, then we get the brachot. Then we have this unmissable, unmistakable national well-being that can only be a product of our unique relationship with God and our steadfast commitment to Him. So whether you're Rav Hirsch, Rav Kook, or the Ramban, we can essentially see that being Klal Yisrael is more than your individual responsibilities, but it's also about more than just being connected. It's about being connected so that as a group, we're able to achieve something great in the name of God on the world stage.